In June 2026, something happened that financial experts said would never happen. Elon Musk took SpaceX public, the largest IPO in the history of the stock market. $1.77 trillion valuation, $75 billion raised in a single day. Saudi Aramco's record shattered overnight, and the internet went absolutely wild. People were comparing it to buying Amazon in 1997, to getting in on Apple before the iPhone. The headlines screamed once-in-a-generation opportunity. Retail investors were opening brokerage accounts just to get a piece of it. But buried inside a 38-page section of SpaceX's own IPO filing was a word that Wall Street lawyers use when they want to say something alarming without actually alarming you. The word was risks. 38 pages of them. And what those pages revealed about the money, about the governance, about the man at the center of all of it, is a story that almost nobody is telling clearly. Until now. Let's start with the numbers, because on the surface they look extraordinary. SpaceX generated $18.5 billion in revenue in 2025. Starlink, the satellite internet service that now handles over 90% of all space-based internet traffic globally, is a genuine, growing, profitable business. Launch services, government contracts, Dragon, Falcon 9, real products, real customers, real revenue. The rocket business, the actual SpaceX that Elon Musk built from scratch in 2002, is legitimately remarkable. But here is where the story gets complicated. Despite $18.5 billion in revenue, SpaceX posted a net loss of $4.9 billion in 2025. That is not a typo. And in just the first quarter of 2026 alone, before the IPO even happened, SpaceX lost another $4.3 billion. Why? Because in February 2026, SpaceX quietly absorbed xAI, Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company, into itself. The company that you thought you were buying shares in, the rocket company, the Starlink company, suddenly also became an AI company. And that AI company is burning money at a terrifying rate. xAI took on $16 billion in new debt in 2025 alone, just to buy the GPU chips it needed. SpaceX now carries $29.1 billion in total debt, and a critical $20 billion bridge loan, used to retire xAI's existing debt, must be repaid within 6 months of the IPO closing. Let that land for a second. A meaningful portion of the money that retail investors put in on IPO day was not going toward building rockets or launching satellites. It was going toward paying back a loan. But the financial picture, as alarming as it is not actually the most important story here. The most important story is about control. When you buy a share of most public companies, you buy a fraction of ownership and a fraction of the vote. That is what a share means. You get a say, however small, in how the company is run. At SpaceX, that is not what you are buying. Elon Musk holds roughly 42% of SpaceX's equity, but through a structure called dual-class shares, where his Class B shares carry 10 votes each against your Class A shares 1 vote, he controls 85.1% of the total voting power. Harvard law professor Lucian Bebchuk called this arrangement, and I am quoting directly, not common. SpaceX's own S-1 filing states, and again I am quoting directly from their document, that public shareholders' influence will be limited or eliminated. They wrote that about their own stock, in their own IPO document. There is more. The same filing states that removing Musk as CEO requires a majority vote of Class B shares. Musk controls those shares, which means Elon Musk has given himself a legal veto over his own removal. He cannot be fired, not by the board, not by shareholders, not by anyone, except himself. And then there are the conflicts of interest. Musk simultaneously runs Tesla, X, Neuralink, The Boring Company, xAI, which is now inside SpaceX, and has held government advisory roles overseeing agencies that regulate his own companies. SpaceX's own S1 acknowledges it purchased $131 million worth of Tesla Cybertrucks in 2025 at full retail price, accounting for what analysts estimate was at least 6% of all Cybertruck sales that year. One company buying from another company, both controlled by the same man, with your shareholder money. "He has so many overlapping ventures," said Beth Williamson of Calamos Investment Management, "that conflicts of interest are almost unavoidable." That is not a short seller saying that. That is a fund manager, and it is in the S1. So here is the question that actually matters. Is SpaceX worth $1.77 trillion?
The bull case is not crazy. Starlink is real. The launch business is real. SpaceX conducts 80% of all U.S. space launches. The moat is extraordinary. If Starship works, if humanity genuinely becomes multiplanetary, the company sitting at the center of that could be worth more than anyone can currently model. That is not hype. That is a legitimate possibility. But here is what you need to hold in your mind at the same time. You are being asked to invest at a valuation of $1.77 trillion in a company that lost $4.9 billion last year, that is carrying $29 billion in debt, that you cannot influence through your vote, whose CEO cannot be removed, and whose performance bonuses include shares that vest only when humanity establishes a permanent colony on Mars with at least 1 million inhabitants. That last part is not a metaphor. It is in the compensation plan. Literally. The story of SpaceX going public is genuinely one of the most important financial stories of this decade. Not because it tells you to buy or sell. Nobody can tell you that. It is important because it reveals something about how the modern financial system actually works. The biggest, most celebrated IPO in history, the one with the most excitement, the most breathless coverage, the most retail investors rushing to participate, is also the one where the filing quietly tells you, in plain language, that your vote is limited or eliminated. The rockets are real. The satellites are real. The mission, genuinely, may be the most ambitious thing a private company has ever attempted. But understanding what you actually own when you buy that share, not the dream, not the story, not the man, but the actual legal, financial, governance reality of that piece of paper, that is the question every investor deserves to answer for themselves. Before the market opens, not after. Every week on Unseen Drafts, we pull back the curtain on the stories that matter, the ones hiding inside the headlines, the filings, and the press releases that nobody reads carefully enough. If that is your thing, subscribe now.